Hi, Scott. Welcome to Action A Go Go. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure to meet you too.
Excellent, excellent. And I watched the movie. No spoilers. Enjoyed it very much. And yeah, so I think we have 15 minutes here. So I guess I wanted to start with how you got to this film and maybe just a little bit about your career overall, because it's pretty impressive. A very, very varied background you have here.
Yeah. You know, I I'll give you like a brief rundown because otherwise it get boring. But I started off doing music videos in London. I didn't grow up like, no one I knew was like in the business, if you like. Started making music videos and like that swiftly turned into like I did a show called Top Gear in England. It was a car show. And then all of a sudden that like became very popular for the BBC and I ended up coming to the States and doing a ton of car commercials. And that's really like how the whole thing like started and like progressed. And then from doing car commercials, you get asked, hey, do you have any ideas? I mean, because I've done Top Gear, Netflix asked, do I have any ideas for a car show? And I did. And I pitched them a show called Fastest Car, which became very popular on the network or on the streamer, where regular people that had, what one would call a sleeper car doesn't look fast, but they personally make it fast, could like, could they be someone who owned a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, etc. And then from there, I just like really was starting to get more into doc and storytelling. But my worlds of car commercial and storytelling through doc started to collide. And hence where we arrive at paradox effect, which is very much a real approach to a movie with believable characters. That's the aim, but with a car chase in it, right? I would have had way more car chases and car action, but there's only so much budget and so much time.
No, absolutely. You may be underselling Top Gear a little bit. I think it's one of the most popular shows in the world. And then I actually watched Fastest Car as well on Netflix because I'm a huge car nut. So love to gobble up all of the media I can, when it comes to car stuff. So I've definitely been a fan of your work with me, maybe not being as familiar with you as I thought. But no, Fastest Car was a lot of fun. It was a very fun show. But Paradox Effect. Now, I read a little bit about the production of the film. I think you only had $2 million to deal with or so for the whole film.
The budget's small on that movie. It's a
Wow.
very small budget. It may not even have been that big. So the
Hmm.
budget is very restricted because, in movie making, once talent has a fee, right? And then once you actually get into production, you know, let's say the actual shooting and editing budget of that is $1 million, really. So 18 days shoot. It's a very, very tight shoot. So everything you shoot, you will use, right? There's no like, oh, I wonder if we should use this scene or not. No, that scene will be used, otherwise the movie won't make up, because as a director, you have to, you sign a contract that says you will deliver a movie that will be at least X amount of minutes, right? So you have to be very conscious of what you're shooting and how you're using the time.
No, absolutely. I mean, just so people understand, I mean, don't take this the wrong way, but $2 million is like a pittance for a modern production. I mean, Marvel movie or something's at what, 150 to 200 million, then they have 100 million on marketing. But yeah, but that's very impressive. And I want to discuss that because while watching the film, it felt like a bigger film. It felt like a higher quality film, and I think that's a testament to your talent here in terms of how you shot it and the decisions you made with the film. I was very impressed knowing the budget. I don't know how many other people know the budget and whatnot, but I was very impressed. And you do have some heavy hitters here. I mean, Harvey Keitel is the film, Olga Kurylenko. I mean, obviously, Pulp Fiction, Bad Lieutenant, one of my favorite films with Harvey Keitel in it. Olga Kurylenko, Bond. Bondwoman, of course, and she was also in Oblivion, one of my favorite little sci-fi films. And then you also have Oliver Travena here. Am I saying his name right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you've got actors of like Harvey and Olga. Like let's break it down. But like Harvey's Harvey Keitel. Everyone knows Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel is such a wonderful human and such an amazing talent. His like body of work is just phenomenal. And he really was, you know, Reservoir Dogs would not have happened without Harvey, right? Famous story that they wanted to like bring in another director, and Harvey said, "I'll only do it if Quentin's the director," right? So Harvey's the producer from that, and he really does champion. It's my first movie as a first time movie director, if you like. Like Harvey, and I talked, he looked at my work and he joined, and there was a very like he supported me being the director, which is like fantastic. And
Wow.
you know, I even like have dinner with him back here in Los Angeles because he's just a wonderful human and brilliant person. And then Olga is like just an incredible action star, but a very deep and meaningful actress. She really understood. We were trying to create a character and tell a story about a mother, what she would do for like her child. We didn't want her to be an action hero. We didn't want her to do cheeseball stuff. We always wanted her to have like she knows how to hold a gun, but only as much as like somebody who's not really trained. Like you never see her do moves that like are pro or with any sort of like background in that kind of like I don't know. She's not an armed forces specialist, clearly, right? It's important because that's when it gets unbelievable. And then, the funny thing was like the car chase, right? The car chase is a really good example. We only have a certain amount of time. Shooting the car chase, say they give me like 2 or 3 hours to shoot the exteriors for the car chase. Like I know like how to
Hmm.
tell that chase chronologically is very short, right? In a movie like you're like, mentioning, they would have over a week to shoot that car chase. I'm
Wow.
shooting in like 3 hours, right? But that's the amount of time there is, right? Because then I've got to move on to the like explosion when the car like hits. And with Olga, I was I didn't realize she was such a good driver because when we were doing the interiors, you know, you have two choices, right? You put Olga in the front seat or you have put someone that looks like Olga in the front seat. And when I said to Olga, like, what would you be more comfortable doing? And she just like looks at me as like, like get out the get the fuck out of the way, and she's brilliant. She's like everything she does, she's brilliant at, and she's just a pro. And she will make sure that all conversations and questions like happen before you're there on set because she understands that budget doesn't allow you to sort of spend, 40 minutes discussing. Like you're always going to discuss, but there's lots of stuff you can talk about prior to the shoot. If there's any questions or scenes that she's like, I don't know if this feels right. What I would like to do is this. You do that before, and it allows you both to have a real shared vision. And yeah, she's the best. And Oliver, he's like an up and coming actor and he's doing really well and doing some great roles.
No, absolutely. He does fantastic in this film. He's got incredible energy. I want to say leading man chops. When he's in a scene, you can feel his presence, right? And
Yeah, really
yeah,
prep.
it's really good.
It's all about prep. It's all about like making sure you have a vision for your character and prep and take the time. And Oliver did that. He'd step away, he'd really like um breathe into who he wanted to be and who the scene like needed. And he would sit, a lot of the time he would only really be interested in chatting with Olga because they were like in their zone, and that made
Yeah.
total sense.
Well, it's a very personal film too, right? Like it's Olga and Oliver and their characters, of course. interacting, and then it goes to Harvey. Because it's I mean, it does feel small, but in a good way. Like you're concentrating the drama in it. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what you did. You actually did it. But to do that with 18 days as well, I don't think a lot of people understand because, the larger productions take up so much of the mind share, right? But I've been fortunate enough to talk to other directors who say they make these films in 14 days and whatnot. I can't even imagine because I think about the camera choices and the lighting and everything going on that fast, and still being able to turn out anything of quality is maximally impressive.
Yeah, it's all about prep, right? So it's all about like having experience that like leads you to be able to prep right and to prep like very tightly. I've done plenty of, excuse me, like large commercials, but plenty of like smaller, more creative projects as well. And I know that if you're going to turn up, everybody, it's not only you that needs to know, you need to like know that your team is just as inspired because they understand what it is you're making and why you're making it. So I went to pick locations way before the shoot because I knew that I need locations to be like locked because that's the key. Once I got the locations, then in my head I can start going, all right, here's my like environment. Now I can start to work out how things move. I take tons of photos, take video, and then I can start boarding. And then I can start talking to the team and being like, this is how the scene is going to flow.
Hmm.
Now, at that point, camera choice is like separate, right? We know that like there's always going to be a bit of back and forth with production as to what camera we can afford, right? Because I shoot single camera on a movie like this because there's not enough team to shoot more because there's no point splitting teams. So if I've got an operator, a DP and an assistant, there's no point saying, you know what, why don't we put the assistant to like run the second camera? Because I know from experience that that's a like really bad move. Like you work as a unit, you work as a team, and you really like move together. And that way, like you really like build together. And the one thing that I like there was two things I made as requests, right? I knew I needed I needed like lenses that even if time got short, there was a look to the lens that would save me, right? I like to make things and light things and like anybody else, but I went for Hawk anamorphics because I knew that the glass was going to give me at a push, we needed like those last takes, and I just knew that was going to work and help, and it really did because the like movie isn't overlit in any way, and the lenses really like help with those colorful flares. Someone like obviously Deakins, he gets more time to light. So you can really like paint with the lenses. But I knew that like anamorphics were going to really help me. And then the other thing was a second monitor because I knew that the Italian crew are very passionate filmmakers. And I knew that if they could see what they were shooting, that they would be with me because we didn't speak the same language, but we did
Wow.
know we both believed that making great cinema was important and like the goal. And therefore, when they could see what they were shooting, we would all like high five and hug based on like the fact that we shot something great, right? And that was like how we like were very like connected as a team.
That's awesome. And our time is short. I guess my last question is going to be what advice do you have to any aspiring directors who may be out there that you'd want to share?
Well, I think it's like I think it's really important to like to shoot like I think running the like music videos into commercials into movies is a really important rites of passage if you want to be a director because in music videos you can do anything you want. There's no restrictions. You're telling a 3-minute story and there's no real like client. So you can kind of test out, I want to try these lenses. I want to like move the camera like this. I want to like use this piece of gear that I've never used. And you can really like learn. It's a great place for cutting teeth music videos. It's the best, right? You're telling a story to music, right? How much better does it get? And then in commercials, it teaches you that there is a client and there is an audience and there is an aim, right? Which is important. And then that sort of prepares you for movies, because in movies, there's always going to be like, there's always a boss, there's always someone who's writing the check, and you need to be able to present your vision in a real clear manner that if you have a differing opinion, there's never going to be like, you're not combative. You're there with passion and being like, this is why I believe we should do it this way. And typically they'll come round to your vision if you can, if you can vocalize and like present with images and all the things you learn going through the process.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. That's because I did want to touch on that transition, but we managed to fit it in there. That's perfect. Well, Scott, thank you so much. The movie's premiering September 24th, I believe, on Paramount in the States. Really appreciate your time. And I do hope we have a chance to talk again. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time. Cheers.
This is Derek Scarzella. Thank you so much for watching this video. Just doing a quick outro. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Above all, we want to hear what you have to say about this video, this movie, what it meant to you. Also, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, of course, YouTube. Check out our website, actionagogo.com. And of course, you can check out my own novels, Knuckle Crackbone, as well as The Vicious Game. Links are all down below. We also have a merch store if you want to enjoy our glorious Action A Go Go electric logo, which is going to come right after this. And of course, again, thank you so much for watching. It's super appreciated. Hope you had a good time. I know we did. Bye.